hug from Trump at an Atlanta Chick-fil-A while he met with supporters. Watch.
I don't care what the media tells you, Mr. Trump. We support you.
We love you.
Okay, 4 p.m. We've been 4 p.m.
Come here, let me give you a hug.
Please
Look at the joy. Here to tell us about it is that young woman herself, Michaela Montgomery. She's also the founder of a grassroots political group to conserve the culture. Michaela, I've been waiting for this interview all morning.
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
So thanks so much for joining us. So you told the president when you were hugging him, I don't care what the media says, we support you. Tell me what you meant by that.
I am so glad that is the first question you asked me. So, of course, in the excitement of everything, I wasn't able to really relay my message, but the general consensus or social media would have you thinking that if President Trump were to show up to the HBCU campuses or walk around the AUC community, that like some angry mob would form or a riot would ensue and that he would not be welcomed. And clearly the sentiment in that room the other day was the complete opposite. He was very welcome. People were excited to see him. People showed up in support of him, and people, of course, were from all four institutions within the AUC, the local HBCU community in Atlanta, and they all showed up in support of him. So it's actually kind of crazy to see people in an uproar when all four institutions were legitimately represented, and all four institutions were represented by said students who wanted to support President Trump.
It's just amazing, gang. There really is a political paradigm shift happening right before our very eyes, like we've never seen before. And it's catapulting President Trump back into the White House. And we're seeing it in real time because that paradigm shift is causing yet another major swing state to flip. We got the latest. It's going to absolutely blow you away. Hey, gang, with everything going on right now, it's hard to say what could happen or what will happen. And to make matters even worse, we usually don't find out until it's too late. But when it comes to your money, you should understand what's at stake. That's why I partnered with Goldco. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of hedging future risks with the timeless value of gold and silver. And that's why you've got to click on the link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit. Gang, it's an amazing free resource that shows you step-by-step how to get into precious metals tax-free and penalty-free, even if your money's still in a retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. And the best part is that you may already qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver. You've seen the writing on the wall. Click on that link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit right now, because this is about taking back control of your freedom and your privacy. We can't predict the future, but we can certainly prepare for it. So don't wait. Take action now to defend your freedom, your privacy, and your future. Click on that link below right now. All right, so let's dive right in here, gang. Something is happening in the great swing state of Pennsylvania. Voter registration trends are suggesting a massive shift over to the Republicans throughout the Keystone State. And the irony here is that the Democrats appear to only have themselves to blame for this. Many of you may remember when the Democrat Governor Josh Shapiro instituted automatic voter registration throughout the state. And everyone was freaking out, going, oh, here we go again. Here we go. This is the latest Democrat gimmick to fix the election for 2024. Well, whatever the intentions were, that gimmick has officially backfired. Check this out. In the first month after that automatic voter registration measure went into effect, the number of Democrats that registered was 3,194. 3,194, right? 3,200. The number of independents that registered was 4,052. And the number of Republicans that registered, 7,657. So if you're doing your math, right? as many Republicans registered in Pennsylvania in that 1 month alone as Democrats and independents combined. And to add insult to injury, independent registration outpaced the Democrats by nearly 900. So the Democrats have come in dead last in voter registration in Pennsylvania ever since Josh Shapiro put in that automatic voter registration measure. So, in fact, Democrat voter registration, their advantage has gone from over 600,000 in 2020. Now, keep in mind, even that's pretty impressive. They had a 1 million voter advantage in 2012. All right, so that's been shrinking steadily now. They had a 600,000 voter registration advantage in 2020. Today, that's now just 397,000 advantage, which more than, by the way, more than makes up for the amount of votes that Biden won, quote unquote, that won back in 2020. Biden, quote unquote, won the state by a supposed 80,000 votes. So Democrats now have a 400,000 vote advantage, down from 600,000 in 2020, which itself was down from 1 million in 2022. Scott Pressler, who many of you know, he's a very good friend of our channel. He's been on here. We love him. He just posted comparable numbers just this morning. Scott's been on the front lines of Pennsylvania's voter registration, and his analysis is showing really the exact same thing. Democrats are shrinking in Pennsylvania, all as Republican registrations are growing. They're growing like wildfire. When all is said and done, Republican registrations have surged by over 40,000 since November of last year. So just in the last few months, Republican registrations have soared 40,000, while Democrat registrations have decreased in that time period by 10,000. And it's largely because of what Scott is doing.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler. I'm here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and this November we are going to flip Bucks County red.
And he's doing it. He's actively registering more and more Republican voters every single day, such that more and more Pennsylvania counties are poised to flip red. Scott is doing amazing stuff. Make sure to check him out on his Twitter feed, Scott Pressler, 1S, by the way, Pressler, to keep up to date with what he's doing and to support what he's doing, because he's amazing. And these voter registration efforts are being corroborated by the latest big data polling of Pennsylvania that showed some pretty incredible results. This dropped just last week. Look at these numbers, gang. According to big data polling, Trump is now trouncing Biden by 5 in Pennsylvania. Again, this very extensive polling here. This is Rich Barris of the People's Pundit. He's the best. He's the one who he could predict election results literally within about 1% or within the margin. And he could do it by county. He did an amazing job in Virginia when Glenn Youngkin won there back in 2021. So if you look at this polling, it's not just a drop in the bucket in the flash polling. This is polling over a number of weeks, a big sampling over the entire state. And it found that Trump is up by over 5 points in Pennsylvania. Now, that's just head-to-head. When you factor in the other candidates, Jill Stein, RFK Jr., Cornel West, that lead grows then to 6. Head-to-head, Trump is leading Biden 45.7 to 40.3. And when you add in the leaners, those who haven't decided who they're going to vote for, but if you push them and say, well, look, if you had to vote today, who would you vote? If you add in those what are called leaners, Trump actually gains. He leads 47% to 41.3%. And by the way, that is also indicative of the fact that what Rich has been finding is that voters who have not registered, who have yet to register, when they do register, I think they're registering like 4-1 Republican. They're like 4-1 supporting Trump, right? Which is absolutely amazing. We'll talk about why that is in a moment in terms of the new political realignment that's happening. So head-to-head, Trump is leading 45.7 to 40.3. And when you add in your leaners, that lead grows from 47% to 41.3%. So that represents a near 2-point gain from the last big data poll back in March. So Trump is officially expanding his lead over Biden in this key swing state. And this is obviously gigantic. I think, what is it? Pennsylvania is the 10th largest population in the country. I forget which it is, but it's high up there. I think it's in the top 10. And just to show you how significant a Pennsylvania flip would be, let's go to the electoral map over at Red Eagles Politics, also another wonderful channel you want to follow. Now, assuming that Trump wins Georgia, right? We saw him in Atlanta, right? You just saw him in Atlanta with that wonderful girl at the beginning. You saw him in the Chick-fil-A, right? I mean, he's just crushing it in Georgia right now. He's been beating Biden in every single poll in Georgia since October. Okay, so assuming he wins Georgia, here's Trump's various paths to victory in November. He can win, all he needs is 2 states. He can win Michigan and Nevada, and he passes the 270 mark. He can win Michigan and Wisconsin, and he passes 270. He can win Michigan and Arizona, and he passes 270. Or he can win Arizona and Wisconsin, right? Or he can just win Pennsylvania. Assuming he wins Georgia, if Trump simply flips Pennsylvania, it's over. If Pennsylvania does what it did in 2016, Trump wins. He's back in the White House. And it's not just Pennsylvania, gang, in terms of these trends. In Michigan, Trump's lead in the polling aggregate, again, is now almost 5 points. That's the polling aggregate. That's the average of all the polling. He's winning both Pennsylvania in this latest big data poll and Michigan in the polling aggregate by the same margin. It's stunning. And keep in mind, as Rich Barris of the People's Pundit reminds us, Michigan has a larger share of non-college grad votes who are overwhelmingly across the country supporting Trump. Overwhelmingly. I mean, we're talking 80%. It's just astonishing. And by the way, they're as I understand, the very large majority of Michigan voters. So that blue-collar, non-college grad demographic is pulling Michigan way to the right towards Trump. And we're seeing it in the RCP polling average with that five-point margin. And to make it even sweeter, just to show you what's really going on here, we talked about this in a video the other day. The ultra blue state of Minnesota. The state that not even Ronald Reagan could win either in 1980 or 1984. Take a look at this Survey USA poll that just dropped right now as we speak. Trump and Biden, they are basically statistically tied. Biden has a slight lead of 44 over Trump's 42. The key factor there in this one is very interesting. It's the amount of support that other is getting, or third-party candidate is getting. That Minnesota tends to be attracted to. Minnesota, you know, they voted in Jesse Ventura as their governor, for heaven's sakes. They tend to be attracted to these kind of, you know, fringe candidates. And Red Eagle Politics had a great analysis on this. He pointed out that the rule of thumb here is that in Minnesota, if the third-party vote share hits the 8% threshold, the opposition, like Donald Trump, has a very good shot at actually winning the state because it just siphons so many votes away from the Democrat. And we're seeing this consistently represented in the RCP average. If you think this polling, this USA polling is just sort of a, you know, an outlier, look at the RCP average, the Real Clear Politics polling aggregate that averages out all the polling here now, in this case, Minnesota. Look at it. It's the same margin. Biden's leading by 2, an average of 2.3 in freaking Minnesota. Now, again, if we compare that back to 2020, Biden was leading by over 7 in the polling aggregate. And that itself is suggestive because Biden ended up winning Minnesota by only 2 points. The polling average way overstated the Democrat support for Biden. The average was 7. He ended up winning by 2. And apparently, that's been a pattern for years, as I understand it. Minnesota tends to overpoll for the Democrats and underpoll Republican support. Republicans tend to come out in far more support than was predicted in each election. And if that's the case, can you imagine the horror the Democrats are going through right now, seeing Trump and Biden basically tied? If they're statistically tied in a state that even Reagan couldn't win, what else is going to fall? So what on earth is going on here? What's happening? Why is Trump crushing it like that? Is it just because Biden is so unpopular? Well, that's certainly not helping. But there's something much deeper going on. It really does look like we're seeing a political realignment happening. We saw it at the beginning of the video, and we got the receipts to prove it.